welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Publisher of the Kaieteur newspaper and transparency advocate Glenn Lal has added his voice to the call for the government to tell Guyanese what is the financial position of the Marriott Hotel investment. He pointed out that the government is encouraging foreigners to build hotels in Guyana while putting the Marriott Hotel up for sale. The publisher expressed concern over the way state assets are moving from government to private hands. Meanwhile, AFC leader Kemraj Ramjatan called for full parliamentary scrutiny of any state asset being privatized. Ramjatan has joined calls for the release of financials relating to the Marriott Hotel now that the government has decided to sell the asset. Ramjatan is adamant, however, that given the PPP government's record with state assets, information on the business profitability should be released, as well as allowing scrutiny of the decision to sell the entity. Meanwhile, the PNCR, the largest political opposition party in the country, has agreed with its coalition partner, the AFC, that ExxonMobil is misleading the populace by erecting billboards across the country to inform that Guyana is getting some 52% from the Stabroek Block oil deal. At a recent press conference, opposition economist Elson Lowe noted the difference between revenue and profit, adding that Guyana is not getting 52% of revenue but around 52% of the profits. He explained that this is because of cost oil, which is first taken out from the profits, after which the country gets 52%. On this note, he stressed that a thorough audit must be conducted to ensure Guyana's share of profits is not reduced through the funding of inflated costs of production. And moving on, U.S. transparency and advocacy group FACT Coalition is backing its member Oxfam, which filed a shareholders' resolution against ExxonMobil and others, requesting that they come clean on their international tax practices. FACT Coalition is an organization that benefits offshore tax abuses, promotes transparency in corporate ownership and operations, and advocates anti-money laundering policies. On November 21st, British advocacy group Oxfam had filed a shareholder resolution, which is usually a 500-word request submitted to a company by a shareholder, asking the company to address an issue of concern. The resolution was filed against Exxon, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips, calling them out on their alleged secretive tax practices. Oxfam's resolution is to ask the companies to publish tax transparency reports in line with the tax standard of the Global Reporting Initiative, the world's most utilized corporate reporting framework. Exxon was named among 3 U.S. oil majors who are lagging with their GRI tax standard reports. This is according to Ian Gary, director of FACT Coalition. And coming from Reuters, the U.S. House of Representatives panel probing the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol asked federal prosecutors on Monday to charge Donald Trump with 4 crimes, including obstruction and insurrection, for his role in sparking the deadly riot. The Democratic-led Select Committee's request to the Justice Department, after more than 1,000 witness interviews and the collection of hundreds of thousands of documents, marked the first time in history that Congress has referred a former president for criminal prosecution. The request does not compel federal prosecutors to act, but comes as a special counsel is overseeing 2 other federal probes of Trump related to the Republicans' attempt to overturn his 2020 election defeat and the removal of classified files from the White House. The committee asked the Justice Department to charge Trump with 4 potential felonies: obstruction of an official proceeding of Congress, conspiracy to defraud the United States, making false statements, and aiding or inciting an insurrection. Meanwhile, as part of the United Kingdom $4.2 million Smart Hospital initiative, the Mabaruma Regional Hospital, located in Region 1, has been upgraded to a smart health facility to the tune of $150 million Guyana dollars. The Mabaruma Smart Hospital is among 5 hospitals upgraded through the Smart Healthcare Facilities in the Caribbean Project, a collaboration between the Government of Guyana and the UK. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you that Ricky Ambrose, a 40-year-old land surveyor and ranger, was on Sunday found dead on the Arimu Backdam Trail in Kuyuni around 10 hours by a miner who was walking along the Guana Sand Trail. A statement from the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association said that Ambrose's body was found with several lacerations some distance from his ATV. It is understood that Ambrose's body bore 6 incised wounds to his back, 1 to the right chest and 2 to the back of his right ear. 8 lacerations were also visible to the head. 2 pieces of wood were found beside Ambrose's body. The association stated that according to reports, his licensed firearm along with a quantity of raw gold and cash are also missing. However, Crime Chief Wendell Blanham said that the force is only aware of Ambrose's firearm being missing. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 20 in Guyana. We'll return shortly after the break.
Wanting to protect your family during these difficult times of COVID-19 is natural.
Stay at home, wash your hands often, and don't touch your face.
Yes, Daddy.
But are you doing these things too? And do you practice social distancing? Do you keep 3 to 6 feet away when you're shopping? Or at least stay an arm's length away in the supermarket? Remember, children learn from adults. So if you're not obeying the precautions, neither will they. We have to work towards the new normal together to keep our families safe and protected. Be part of the solution, don't add to the problem. Teach by example and do the right things.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let's continue with the news. A father and his son were chopped brutally on Sunday during a fight which started at a rum shop in Letterkenny Village, Berbice, and ended in front of the yard of the injured men. The incident took place at about 23 hours 30. Injured are 24-year-old Veerasamy Naidu and his father, Moonsamy Vinod Naidu. According to reports, the 24-year-old suffered a severed hand while his father sustained chop wounds about his head and body. The act was committed by 2 individuals from the said village, and according to the police, one of them, a fisherman, has since been arrested. Brother and son of the men, Vikash Naidu, said that the men encountered one of the suspects while purchasing liquor. An argument erupted between the father and the suspect, with the suspect claiming that the father spat on him, to which the father reportedly denied. The man went on to relate that when the 2 men returned home, they saw 2 men with cutlasses charging towards them. And in other news, City Mayor Ubraj Narain has challenged Vice President Bawar Jagdeo to prove his claims that the current council of Georgetown has misused funds. Narain responded to Jagdeo's claims of misuse of funds during a press conference held at City Hall on Monday, calling on the government to release the report based on the audit conducted into the city's finances. The mayor noted that contrary to the vice president's claims, there is no evidence to suggest that the current Georgetown mayor and city council misused its financial resources since he took office in 2019. As such, Narain is challenging Jagdeo to release an audit report on the municipality's finances. And despite a whirlwind of concerns regarding the safety and viability of the Wales gas-to-energy project, the PPP is set on pushing the development forward and will soon move to compulsorily acquire lands from owners who refuse to comply with the process. When asked about the total value of the lands that the government will be paying residents for, Jagdeo said he would try to get the details shared, as it was not available to him at the time. We spoke with a number of landowners who said that they are not satisfied with the offer made by the government for their lands. One farmer, for example, explained that the offer made did not take into consideration the earnings made from the property that would be affected. A landowner in Canal Number 1 then explained that even though government will only acquire part of his land, his farming activity will be completely disrupted. Hence, he does not believe he received a fair offer for compensation. And while Guyana's oil resources have placed it among the top petroleum producers in the world, the country's lack of technical expertise and workforce capacity continue to be a bugbear. Despite this, the government of Guyana early this year gave ExxonMobil the green light for the fourth project, the $10 billion Yellowtail development, and Vice President Barra Jagdeo has been pushing for oil companies to go faster. On the other hand, Exxon has already begun awarding U.S. multi-million-dollar contracts for the fifth project, which has not yet been approved by the government. At a time when the government is looking to accelerate the oil and gas industry, a new report by the International Labour Organization highlighted the gap between Guyana's labour force capacity and what will be needed to handle the oil boom. It was also stated that the country lacks qualified human resources. In fact, it was underscored that over 80% of the total working age of Guyana's population did not go beyond upper secondary education, and the required workforce that will be needed in the incoming years is 6 times Guyana's current workforce capacity. And on that note, we turn the pages of today's Kaieteur News to page 7, dedicated to being blunt. IDB loan secrets. What's wrong with the PPPC government? Why are they so helplessly committed to secrecy? How could there be any exposure with that IDB loan for $97 million for the health sector? What could be the source of the government's fears with this loan? Why? What is there to fear? If for a health sector loan, then what else, and how many more millions? And with that, we've come to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details